Hey guys, welcome back. This is the Jedi Council, Young Jedi CCG YouTube channel, back with another championship deck tech. Again, this is the dark side deck, where in the last video we featured the light side champion from the very original major tournament for Young Jedi, Origins 1999, the championship deck list winner by Brian Fred. We showed you the light side version, and now we're going to show you the dark side version. So again, these are just going to be a very similar deck making concept. The dark side actually has, I would say, a small bit of synergy to it that the light side lacked. But let's get into it and I'll show you that when we get to it. But otherwise, if you want to check out the light side video, many of the principles in the deck making are similar because it's the same player, the same era of the game. Again, at this point in time, Menace of Darth Maul was the only set that was legal, so you're restricted to just cards from that set, just locations from that set. So it does have you make some interesting deck making choices, and then you're not really having multiple copies of unique cards. You're not transporting. You're just playing, 2 copies of your best characters statistically. And 2 obviously was just what this deck maker determined was a safe number, because you'll see it fluctuates 1 or 2, but you never see him go up to 3 copies. So let's get right into it. This first card is really, I'd say, the surprise statistical beast of Young Jedi CCG, and that is Aura Singh, the Bounty Hunter. So Aura Singh Bounty Hunter is very unique because this is literally the exact same card as Obi-Wan, the mainstay of the game, except it has 2 less deploy cost. So at the time, this is just the statistical best card in the game, hands down, is this Aura Singh Bounty Hunter. So just a ridiculous card in terms of its stats. So we do play 2 copies of that. I'm sure we'd play several more if we could, but you got to worry about the uniqueness rules. Then we've got, just like we had our 1 Qui-Gon, got our 1 Darth Maul, the Sith Apprentice. Just a very powerful card, but very bad destiny, very high deploy. Then we've got someone who is actually a pretty good statistical card, which is Darth Sidious with his 4 destiny up here and only a 5 deploy, and all we gave up was 1 power to do that. So Darth Sidious is going to be a pretty strong play. Sorry, the autofocus seems to be giving a little glitch here. So we do have 2 copies of Darth Sidious as opposed to the 1 Darth Maul. Then we do have 1 Battle Droid Squad. Really dumb, honestly, that this is a unique character. That was one of the things that in the design of the game I think was flawed, but they didn't want this to be able to use any of the cards that talk about a diamond battle droid. But to me, that could have just been fixed with a ruling to say diamond battle droid squads don't count as just a diamond battle droid. But this is a unique card, so you can only play 1 of these down, or I shouldn't say you can only play 1 of these down. If 1 of these gets stranded, you cannot play 1 on the next planet. Which makes no sense with battle droids, because the whole point of a battle droid is that they are disposable, non-unique. You have as many as you need. So that was a bit of a flavor fail. Then to finish out the dot, we do have 4 Diamond Destroyer droids. These are the equivalent of the Ishi Tib on the light side statistically. Same exact stats. Or no, I shouldn't say. It actually has 1 higher damage, but still worth playing with the 3 power, 3 destiny, 2 deploy. Very nice stat there. So you got 4 of those. So that's what your red dot looks like. Moving into the blue dot, we do play 1 Jabba the Hutt. Again, you got to get some power somewhere, and even though this is a trash destiny, we throw in 1 copy of that. Then 1 Watto. Again, Watto's an Ishi Tib, in terms of his stats. So again, you'll see that the unique cards are sometimes not statistically all that superior to some of the non-uniques, and so that's why we're being very sparing with the number of copies we're playing. Then in terms of battle droids, these blue dot battle droids are actually not bad because they are a 4 destiny, and they just have the 2 power, 1 toughness. 2 power, 1 damage for 2 deploy. So we do have 2 copies of the Officer. This is the one that is at our opponent's location. Again, I'm not sure how the deck maker arrived at the choices here on which versions of these to play. It probably doesn't matter a whole lot, but I would tend to prefer to have the ones with the bonus at my own location, and that's what they definitely did more of. So they do have 6 copies of the one at his own location, and then 2 of the one at his opponent's location. So we got the main one, 6 copies of the MTT division. And again, literally that's a starter deck card, but it's still as good as anything out there at this era. Then for the green dot, we have one card that is very nice statistically, is Bib Fortuna. So we play 1 copy of that, 5 Destiny. Get him to go next to Jabba there. And then this is where we're going to see some of the synergy, and that is with Tusken Raiders. So first off, we've got 4 copies of the Nomad. This is the one that has the 1/1/1 for location bonuses. 4 copies of that. So this is basically the same thing as the Gungans in the light side deck, except you're going to see there is some good synergy with that. So we play 4 copies of the Nomad Raider. And then this is where, again, I question the split a little bit, but there is 5 copies then of the Marksman. And the Marksman is actually the one that is good at your opponent's location. So I would have, again, probably upped the Nomads and maybe took these down a bit. But again, at the end of the day, it probably doesn't really matter too much where your location bonuses are in that regard. But we do have 5 copies of the Nomad. So what it comes down to is that you have 9 Tusken Raiders, so that your green dot here is 9 Tuskens. And that's where you'll see becomes important. Because as we get into our next dot, we do have our standard 5 blaster rifles for the weapon dot here, and those are just absolute staple. Cool that it has the Tusken on it, but that's not the synergy I was referring to. The actual synergy I was referring to is we do actually play 5 copies of the Tatooine Thunder Rifle. And so this is great because it does offer 2 power bonus with a Tusken Raider. So any Tusken Raider with that is a 4 plus a Destiny. And then on Tatooine, it's 5 if you have the right one. And then at the Pod Race Arena, it's 6 if you have the right one. So those are Jedi level power then with a Thunder Rifle. Now that is a little expensive, of course, to pay 2 for that. But because of the synergy you have 9 people who can use it, and you've got 5 copies of it, you're definitely in a good position to be able to match that up. So that is the first bit of the synergy here, and there's one more piece to it in a moment. But we've got our 5 Thunder Rifles and our 5 Blaster Rifles. So we go with the 5-5 split there. Then as we get to the battle cards, you'll see the other synergy. First off, before we get to it, we have 4 copies of OPC Killer. So you saw that the light side featured 8 copies of the Negotiations Were Short, whereas the dark side features 4 copies of OPC Killer. I always thought this was a really weird choice for use with the first character in your battle plan. I think that the Negotiations Were Short makes a lot of sense, but that the fish eating the sub is somehow the first character in my battle plan, don't really follow that choice there, but it became an iconic card, of course, because of how good that is, especially for this era in the game. So we've got 4 copies of that. And then what we do have 6 copies of is the Sniper. So this is ridiculous because this is used with any Tusken Raider or any character at the Desert Landing Site. So this is doubly good because you do try to make the Desert Landing Site your location on Tatooine, but more importantly, 4 power bonus with any Tusken Raider. So even if it's not at the proper location, your Tusken is going to be 2 for the Raider, 2 for the weapon, 4 for this. It's going to be an 8 plus a Destiny, which is essentially a fight in this era that is not going to lose. And you do have 6 full copies of that. So I'd actually say that this dark side deck is probably a little bit better than the light side one, specifically because of this exact synergy. And the synergy I mean is the Tuskens with the Thunder Rifles with the Snipers. That the light side doesn't really have anything that compares to that. So that's really the nice bit of tech here that's in the dark side deck. And then moving on finally to the purple dot, you'll see it's very similar. We've got our 3 Maul's Sith Infiltrators. That's the equivalent of the Bravo 1. Again, that cannot miss when it's trying to shoot your opponent's ship, but for if you draw your 1 Darth Maul or your 1 Jabba the Hutt. Otherwise, it will always shoot down an opposing transport ship. Because at this era, 5 power was the only transport you have available. And lastly here, we have our and then we have our 2 droid starfighters, again mimicking that same structure of the Naboo fighters that we had in the light side deck. Then we get to our locations, and again similar structure. We've got our 1 Naboo location that we have to play, the Gungan Swamp. Nice that it's a 5 destiny. We've got the Jedi Council Chamber, which I thought was always crappy for the dark side to have to only get a 3 destiny for that when they generally have nothing good to show there, and it's a light side domain, but they still have to get a crap destiny for it. And then finally, the location of your choice, as I mentioned, is the desert landing site. So again, when you look at full 3 copies of that, and when you look at the location bonuses with that, you do have these 6 battle droids, all like the desert landing site specifically. Darth Maul Sith Apprentice has an extra dot on the desert landing site, and surprisingly, these 5 Tuskens don't have any bonus there, and these 4 just have the regular 1 dot bonus there. So it's really for these, mainly for these battle droids right here, and then your 1 Darth Maul. That Darth Maul is very formidable at the landing site, though, because it's an 8 natively just on its own. So, so we've got our 3 copies of the desert landing site. And again, as I mentioned, the one other big synergy here is the sniper with the desert landing site, because that is used with any character if you're fighting at the desert landing site. So you have your 8 power Darth Maul. He can add another 4 power to himself, 12 plus a destiny. Probably the best fight you're going to see. So that is the deck. That's the dark side version here. Hopefully, again, you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully this is a nice inspiration to newer players who are just looking at, hey, how do I play this game? What cards are statistically good? And this can kind of show you that say, hey, this is literally the championship deck from this era, and it's basically random statistical cards plus about a third of it is this Tusken tech that we were showing here. That's the big synergy to look out for, is the Tusken Thunder Rifle Sniper bit with the landing site. That is its own little synergistic deck, but then the rest of it's all just mains with scrubs and playing them strictly for the stats. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Please give us a like, give us a subscribe, and stay tuned for more Young Jedi videos.